20th chapter. Stories of the Prophets. The story of Prophet Lut, may peace be upon him. Prophet Lut, known in the Bible as Prophet Lut, was raised by his uncle, Prophet Ibrahim, may peace be upon him. Prophet Lut loved, respected, and believed in Ibrahim's message even when everyone ridiculed him. Prophet Ibrahim, together with Lut, traveled far, across land and sea, trying to invite and spread man to the fold of Islam. During Ibrahim's and Lut's migration to Palestine, they received the divine decree of Allah that Lut had been chosen to be a prophet and messenger for the people of Sodom. Allah directed this new prophet to travel to the city of Sodom, situated on the border of Jordan and Palestine, with the mission to guide the people who sinned back to the worship of Allah. Sodom was a thriving city that was visited by many travelers, merchants and businessmen for trade. However, Sodom was also the most corrupt city with the highest criminal activity during that time. Travelers passing Sodom were often waylaid and robbed of their belongings, and sometimes were mercilessly murdered. But, the most notorious act of evil that was committed by this corrupt nation was homosexuality. Homosexuality was introduced into the world by the people of Lut. None in the history of mankind had ever experienced or practiced homosexuality before Sodom. This shameful practice was the norm amongst this nation, and the entire population engaged in it. They were immensely proud of their conduct, spoke openly about it, and engaged in these immoral behaviors out in the open. Pleased with the prophethood and his new mission, Prophet Lut soon settled in Sodom and began to devise ways to bring his people into the fold of Islam. He was well aware that his nation was the most corrupt nation of that time. But he held firm faith and hoped and prayed that they would soon see the error of their ways and enter into the path of Allah. Quran says, Surah Ash-Shura, Ayat 160 to 163. Soon Prophet Lut approached the men of the city and reminded them of their Lord. Will you not fear Allah and obey him? Verily, I am a trustworthy messenger to you. So fear Allah, keep your duty to him, and obey me. Puzzled, the men of the city began discussing amongst themselves. This man has entered our city, and is telling us to cease what we are doing? Clearly, he is gaining something out of this. Prophet Lut replied, No reward do I ask of you for it. My reward is only from the Lord of the worlds. Prophet Lut then broached the matter of homosexuality and informed them that it was indeed an immoral practice. He said, Do you approach males among the worlds, and leave those whom your Lord has created for you as your wives? Nay, you are a people of transgressing. Prophet Lut then informed his people that he would never agree to be a part of such a practice, and warned them of a severe punishment from Allah. He said, I am indeed of those who disapprove with severe anger and fury your action of sodomy. He further cautioned them of the severe punishment Allah had in store if they continued in their ways. The men and women of Sodom became very angry at Lut's speech. They conspired to drive Lut away from their city, threatening, If you cease not, O Lut, verily, you will be one of those who are driven out. Prophet Lut was deeply distressed. After years and years of relentless effort to guide people toward Islam, not a single person had embraced the faith. Enduring immense suffering and striving with patience to save his people, he scolded them. Quran says, in Surah Al-Qamar ayah 29, You commit the abomination that none in the world ever committed before you. What? Do you go to men, to satisfy your lust, engage in highway robbery, and commit evil deeds in your gatherings? They knew they were wrong, but they continued to belittle his message, openly mocking him. Quran says, in Surah Al-Qamar ayah 30, Bring us the punishment of Allah, if you should be of the truthful. And so, the only household that praised Allah in Sodom was that of Prophet Lut. While he and his daughters remained steadfast in their religion, his wife chose the path of disbelief. Prophet Lut then raised his hands and prayed, My Lord, support me against the corrupting people. Meanwhile, Allah sent 3 angels, including Angel Jibreel, disguised as men. to Prophet Ibrahim's house as guests. Ibrahim, who failed to recognize the angels, prepared a grand feast for his guests. But his guests refused the meals offered to them. The angels then proceeded towards Sodom disguised as handsome young men. The daughter of Prophet Lut, a believer, witnessed the handsome men entering the city and frantically ran to her father and informed him of the three men. Prophet Lut approached the men and welcomed them to the city of Sodom. He knew too well of the fate that would befall the young men at the hands of the men of Sodom, so he intended to convince the men to leave the city for their own safety. But Prophet Lut was too embarrassed to ask the guests to leave. So he guided the guests to his home, ensuring that none saw the three handsome men. Lut's wife, a non-believer, saw the men as they entered her house, together with her husband, Lut. She hurried to the men of the city and informed them that Lut had three attractive young men in his house. The men rejoiced at the news and slowly gathered outside Lut's house and began pounding on his door. Prophet Lut shouted, "Do not disgrace me concerning my guests. Is there not among you a man of reason?" Growing restless, the men shouted back, "Have we not forbidden you from hosting people?" The whole nation of Sodom had now gathered at Lut's doorstep. They grew impatient by the minute and began breaking down his door. Feeling agitated, Lut called out to his people, "These, the girls of the nation, are my daughters, to marry lawfully, if you must act so." The men responded, "You have already known that we have no interest in your daughters, and indeed, you know what we want." Prophet Lut became helpless against the corrupt people. "If only I had against you some power or could take refuge in a strong power," he thought. The three men then spoke up. "O Lut, indeed we are angels of your Lord, therefore, they will never reach you." Angel Jibreel then stepped out of Lut's house and struck the men, causing all men to lose their eyesight. Shocked and enraged, the men shouted, "What's this magic that just hit us? Where did this come from? O Lut, you are the one behind this. You will see what we will do to you tomorrow." Allah commanded to Prophet Lut, "Set out with your family during a portion of the night and let not any among you look back, except your wife. Indeed she will be struck by that which strikes them. Indeed, their appointment is the morning. Is not the morning near?" As instructed, Prophet Lut together with his daughters, left Sodom during the night. As the morning dawned, a loud, piercing cry ensued through the city that shook the occupants with great pain and fear. Jibreel then grabbed the nation from the edge of his wing, raised them high up, twisted the land, and crashed it to the ground. Allah then caused the skies to rain down stones of hard clay, each stone inscribed with the name of a transgressor for whom it was intended for, ending the vain lives of the occupants of Sodom. Prophet Lut, who left Sodom with his daughters, returned to his uncle, Prophet Ibrahim. Together, they continued to spread the message of Allah until his death. Today, the site of Sodom, the city of corruption, is marked by the Dead Sea as a reminder of Allah's wrath against the people of Prophet Lut.